one and all. Let us welcome to the third session of biology, and our today's topic is genetics. As I have already told you that the beginning chapter, chromosomes, etc. are very important when we are going to start this genetics. So I think you would have remembered those terms before we go to the lesson thoroughly. Like begets like is an important and universal phenomenon of life. Do you understand what is this like begets like? That means the organisms produce offsprings of their own. The organisms produce offspring of their own. What does that mean? A cat gives birth to a kitten which grows into a cat in future again. Likewise, a dog gives birth to a puppies which grow into dogs. So, the young ones not only resemble their parents but also each other. That is, we mean that like begets like. But you see, they are never identical to their parents and they possess considerable variations among them. No doubt, they give same or they produce same offsprings of their own kind, but they are never identical to their parents and they possess considerable variations. Variations means some minute differences will be there from their parents among themselves. So, human beings share a number of characteristics with each other. The members of one family have more characters in common. However, the individuals from different races differ from each other in many features. Even the members within a community show a number of differences. These differences among individuals are called variations. This is a definition of variation. The differences among individuals, though they belong to a single parent, there are some variations, and that is a particular definition for variation. As I spoke you, the differences among individuals are called variations. There are also some similarities and variations in characters which pass from one generation to another. So, the process of transmission of genetic characters through generations is known as heredity. This is one more term which is very important. See, the process of transmission of genetic characters through generations is called as heredity. The degree of small differences among the offspring and between the offspring and the parents are known as variation. Are you coming to the point? See, there are certain differences also between the offspring, between the offspring and their parents. So, they are known as the variations. These are differences, variations. Now, when we come to the definition of genetics, what do you mean by genetics? The science dealing with the study of mechanisms of heredity and variation is known as genetics. And so, this term was first used by W. Batson in the year 1905 to 1906. Now, when we come to a topic called chromosome, which we have already completed in the previous chapter, again we will come through that. Chromosome, as I already told you, that is also called as a hereditary vehicle. And you have learnt in the last chapter that different organisms differ in having different number of chromosomes and genes, isn't it? We human beings are having 46 number of chromosome that can be considered as 23 pairs, isn't it? So, however, the number of chromosome is fixed for the individual of a species and all the cells of that individual have the same number of chromosomes. Do you get the point? Now take an example of a frog. A frog cell has 26 chromosomes. 26 always comes to 13 pairs, isn't it? Whereas a human cell has 46 chromosome which is equal to 23 pairs. But why do we write the number of chromosome in pairs? Here a question arises in everybody's mind that why do we write the number of chromosome in pairs? Why don't we just say that human cells have 46 chromosomes? There's a reason. The reason is the human somatic cells have 46 chromosome in 23 matched pairs. Try to understand. 46 chromosome in 23 matched pairs. That means each member of the pair comes from one parent. Each parent are having 46, 46. So one matching will be with the others. So it is said that each member of the pair comes from one parent and both are of same size and shape. Both are of same size and shape. Though one is coming from a male gamete, another is coming from a female gamete, there will be a chromosome which will be of equal shape and size among the male and female gamete. But they don't carry exactly the same genes. Pointed out, they don't carry exactly the same genes. These identical pairs of chromosomes are called homologous chromosomes. It said that the identical pair of chromosome which has been matching with the other are called as homologous chromosomes. So out of these chromosomes, 23 chromosomes come through mother's egg and 23 come through father's sperm. When the egg and the sperm fertilize, the first cell of the baby, that is the zygote, is formed. Right? When the egg of a sperm fertilizes, the first cell of the baby, which is called as the zygote, is formed. This cell duplicates and divides by mitosis repeatedly to make all the cells of the baby. And the baby's body cells now have 46 chromosomes. That comes to 23 pairs, just like the parents. Next topic is our autosomes and sex chromosomes. See, what are autosomes? What are sex chromosomes? The chromosomes are studied by arranging them artificially according to their shape and size. As we spoke beforehand, that one chromosome of a male gamete and the other from a female gamete will be having same size and shape. So what is happening there? They are arranged themselves artificially according to their size and shape. The arrangement of chromosome of a cell according to their size and shape are called as a karyotype. And so, if we observe a karyotype of a male and a female human beings in the figure 3.1, did you see? Page number 24, there is a figure 3.1 where it shows the karyotype. The human chromosomes arranged in pairs in order of their size and shape. So, these paired chromosomes are called autosomes. So, if you observe carefully, you will notice that first 22 pair of chromosomes are matched pairs. If you see clearly, out of 23 pairs, 22 pairs of chromosomes are matched pairs and the chromosomes of these pairs are identical. These paired chromosomes are called as autosomes. So, out of 23 pairs, 1 to number 22 pair will be called as autosomes. But the last chromosome, the chromosome that is have been assigned with the letter X and Y in the male and Y in the female, they are different in shape and size. Isn't it? X chromosome being much larger than the Y chromosome. So, the last one chromosome or that these two are called as the sex chromosomes or allosomes. Do you come to the point? They are called as the sex chromosomes or allosomes. Let me recall again. What are autosomes? The chromosomes which are same in the size and shape. That is from number 1 to 22 will be called as autosomes because they are identical and so they are paired. But the last chromosome which will be having either X and Y or X and X chromosome will be called as the sex chromosome or the allosome. The human females always have a pair XX pair of similar sex chromosomes, whereas males will be having a dissimilar pair with one X and one Y chromosome. So the two differ in their size. You can go through the figure 3.1 on page number 24. There are 46 chromosomes. So out of 46 chromosomes, there are 44 autosomes and 2 X chromosomes in each of their body cells, and they can be written as 46, that is XX in the bracket 44 plus XX chromosomes. it can also be written as 23 chromosomes, that means 22 autosomes, and an X chromosome in their in each of their egg cell, that is 22 plus X. When we come to the males, they too have 46 number of chromosomes. They also have 44 autosomes and an XY chromosome, and each of their body cells are described as 46 XY. In the bracket it's written 44 plus XY. That means 23 chromosomes means 22 autosomes and an X or Y chromosome in each pair of the sperm cells, that is 22 plus X and 22 plus Y chromosome. So this was the topic of autosomes and sex chromosome. Let us see how the sex is determined in human beings. How are we able to know about the sex in a human being? As you have already learned that human beings, the female gamete, ova or the egg, always contain an X chromosome. They are also called as homogametic cells. They only contain X chromosome, so they are called as homogametic chromosome, which is not there in your book. You just listen to me and you will be clear about it. Whereas the male gamete or sperm cells of human are called heterogametic because they are having X and Y chromosome. So that means there are two types of sperms in equal proportion, that is 50% with X chromosome, 50% with Y chromosome. So the sex of the child depends upon the type of sperm, that is X bearing or it is Y bearing, that fertilizes the egg. So we cannot always blame the females that they are giving birth to a girl child. Here 50% responsibility is males and other 50% responsibility is also male, because female always have XX chromosome whereas male is having XY chromosome. It's a matter of fact whether they are giving their X chromosome to the female or they are giving their Y chromosome to the female. If they are giving X chromosome to the female, then the female is already having one more X chromosome, so they will give birth to a girl child. But if the male is giving Y chromosome to a female, then the zygote or the offspring will be a male because they will get the last chromosome as X and Y. So this is how sex is determined in human beings. Now let us come to a point. If a sperm cell carrying an X chromosome fuses with an egg, the resulting zygote would have the XS chromosome, which would develop into a female zygote. The same way, if a sperm cell carrying Y chromosome fuses with an egg, then the resulting zygote would be XY chromosome. This would develop into a male zygote. Thus, the probability of producing a male or a female zygote is always equal. Thus, the sex of chromosome of a father rather than the mother are responsible for the sex of the child. Sex chromosome of father is more responsible than the sex cell of the mother. Now, let us come to the next topic called as the gene. You have already learned that chromosomes are hereditary vehicles which transmit morphological and behavioral characteristics from one generation to the next. These characteristics are determined by certain segments of chromosome called as genes. Different organisms have different number of genes which are responsible for different traits of an organism. The repeated segments of DNA present throughout the genome is called as repetitive genome or DNA. So a gene is always called a unit of inheritance. A gene is always called a unit of inheritance as it holds the genetic information to build and maintain a specific character in an organism and pass this genetic trait to the offspring. Genes are passed from cell to cell when cells divide during the growth and also passed from generation to generation when organisms reproduce by sexual or asexual means. This is what we see, that genes are playing a vital role in mutation of a generation. Now let us come to another topic called allele. What do you mean by allele? Allele is also called as alternative form of genes. Alternative form of genes. See, each gene exists in two alternative forms which are responsible for the contrasting effects of the same character. Each gene exists in two alternative forms which are responsible for the contrasting effects of the same character, and this alternating form of the contrasting effect of the same character are called as alleles. You have that topic, alleles, on page number 26. Did you see that? The alternative form of genes are called as the alleles. Now, a few examples I'll give about what are alleles. You see, when we think about the ear lobes, you know what is the ear lobe? So, some are having ear lobes which are attached, some are having free ear lobes. Some are having the ability to roll the tongue, some are not having the ability to roll the tongue. If two alleles of a given gene are identical of the organism, then it is called homozygote, and the homozygous with respect to that gene. It said that allele of a given gene may or may not be identical. So, if two alleles in a given gene are identical, two alleles of a given gene are identical, then the organism is called homozygotic. And if two alleles are having different, then the organism is called as heterozygotic. It is heterozygotic or heterozygous with respect to that of the gene. So, in case of a heterozygous condition, only one allele expresses itself while the other allele is masked and does not express itself. So, it is said that the allele which gets expressed is called as dominant, while the other allele which does not express itself is called as recessive. The allele which gets expressed is called dominant, while the other allele which does not express itself are known as recessive. So, if a person inherits both the dominant and the recessive alleles, the dominant allele will be expressed always. And dominant allele is represented by the letter capital. Dominant allele is always represented by a capital letter, while a recessive allele is always represented by a small letter or the small alphabet. For example, allele for a dominant character, that is pre-ear lobe, can be represented by the capital letter D. And the allele for attached ear lobe, recessive character, is represented by a letter small d. Now, there can be three situations depending upon the pairing of these alleles also. You see, there may be three situations. One may be homozygous dominant, another may be homozygous recessive, the other one will be heterozygous dominant. Now, when we see the situation homozygous dominant, the resultant will be capital D, capital D. So, here the result is free earlobe. Whereas in homozygous recessive, it is small d, that means they have attached earlobe. And when we come to the third situation, where it is called as heterozygous dominant, it is capital D and a small d. That results in free earlobe. This means that the individuals with the dominant character can have two kinds of genetic constitution. That may be the first one or it may be the third one. That is homozygous dominant and heterozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant represented by capital D, whereas heterozygous dominant was expressed by capital D, small d. However, the individuals with the recessive character attached earlobe can have only one kind of genetic constitution, that is homozygous recessive, that is small d, small d. लैपटॉप दुस्ची सियाड़ जो पूरा कवर से पड़ू पूरा पूरा और पछू जो वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग करियो सो लेट अस So let us have some examples of dominant and recessive characters in humans, which is given on page number 27. See, there is a table which denotes the character, the dominant trait and the recessive traits. When you come to the color of the eye, you see, dominant trait is brown in color and recessive trait is blue.